Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks. And yeah, continuing down the Chinese line. Sorry I've not been uploading. I know I uploaded yesterday, but it's been tricky with the weather. My kids are off school again because their schools were shut, so it's just been a bit awkward to get these done. So I'm going to try and catch up a bit this week if possible. Now I'm back to normal, or as normal as I can be anyway. As my wife's always said, yeah, I'm pretty far from normal. Anyway, Chinese TD line. I know some of you will have probably got down here already. There'll be others that won't have done this yet, so these videos will still come in useful, and obviously for sort of future new players that are thinking about maybe what line to go down. Hopefully, but anyway, Tier 7 in the Chinese TDs, T34-2GFT, which is, as you would expect, by the designation, based on the T34-2, Chinese Tier 7, no, Tier 8 medium tank. Tier 7 is a T34-1, I think it is. That's going to bug me now. My memory's just gone completely blank. This line, I've not actually been in this tech tree for a while. Yeah, T34-2 is the Tier 8. I thought so. So yeah, and again, it's kind of similar gun-wise-ish to the Russian ones. It's a 122mm gun, which we'll have a look at now. Starting off, you get the 100mm 59-100 GT, which is 181-250. So, to be honest, that's still better pen than the 122 on the SU-152. Obviously, you can have the 152mm howitzer, which does massive damage, but just uses essentially HE. It's the same as the KV2's gun. So a lot of the time, you might hit, but you'll probably not pen, but you'll do a lot of splash damage anyway. So yeah, 181. So it's not a bad grind at all. That gun is quite nice. Admittedly, the damage is a bit low, but 8 rounds a minute, great aiming time, good accuracy. It's not a bad grind at all with that. And then you move on to the 60, which gets you a bit more pen, a bit more rate of fire, etc. And then it moves on to the third and final upgrade package. So again, not a bad grind. And this is where you get the 122mm gun. And now I'm just going to talk about the gun here, obviously, and compare it to the 122 on the SU-152, because it's probably the closest comparison. So whereas with that one, you get an increased rate of fire, you don't get the same rate of fire on this. That's over 8 rounds a minute. This is only 6.32, so it is a lower rate of fire. You actually get a slightly worse aim time as well at 3 seconds, as opposed to, I think it's 2.9. But a slightly better accuracy at 0.40 as opposed to 0.41, I think it is on that, if I remember rightly. But this tank, I mean, that's just the gun. The tank in general, it's a lot stealthier, a hell of a lot stealthier, and it's a lot more mobile as well than the SU-152. And the armour, although it's not great, it's not bad. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the SU-122-44 sort of armour and mobility-wise. So yeah, it's a lot more mobile than the sort of equivalent Russian. And I know there's other TDs and what have you that will be possibly as mobile or more mobile than this, but I'm kind of comparing it to the Russians because they kind of, even though they're not the same, it's what they sort of more closely resemble, I feel, than some of the others possibly. I suppose this could be almost in comparison to the Jagdpanther, maybe, as well, that sort of thing. But anyway, regards to that, it's a 122, very sort of Russian-ish gun. So yeah, you don't get anywhere near the rate of fire, as I said, and you do get those other things, but you get a lot more pen. The 122 on the Russian, it gets 175, this gets 192, so you do get that increased pen, which is nice, because sometimes I've felt that 175 is not quite enough, especially when you're not top tier. If you're mid-tier or bottom tier, definitely, it's quite frustrating with that 175 pen, especially in that tank as well, because you don't have the mobility to get around them. But anyway, with this, you've got the mobility and you've got increased pen, so it's nice. A nice lump of damage as well at 390, which is pretty standard sort of 122mm damage. So it is nice with that. Traverse 40 degrees on the hull, so nice and mobile, spins quite nicely on the spot. It does have less hit points though, only 800 as opposed to the 870 on the Russian, so it is a little bit different with that. But it's a nice TD. It's very stealthy. Like I say, it does remind me somewhat of the SU-122-44, the Tier 7 Russian Premium. But obviously, less rate of fire. But yeah, it is a very stealthy machine. Now, just quickly look at these. I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to look at them too much, and we're going to sort of have a look at a few gameplay clips. But your power to weight ratio is 16.25, 50 kilometers an hour as well. So it's a nice power to weight ratio. And armor wise, again, not going to go into this too much. I'm just going to have a quick shufty at it and give you a few of the details. You're looking at 70 millimeters on the front, 45 on the sides, and 45 on the rear. It does have quite a big commander's hatch though. The armor, it's got some very good angling though as well. So some of the same tier, I'm trying to think now, some of the same tier stuff did bounce occasionally, more at range. It does have decent angling, but it's still not great, but it is enough to protect you from a lot of the low tier stuff as well, and again especially at range. But that commander's hatch is a bit of a big target, but again with this one, the whole point of it is, you know, don't get seen, and that's your best bet, because it's got fantastic concealment, 0.44 and 0.26, and that's stationary moving. So yeah, very, very sneaky machine. But let's have a look at it in action, and I'll talk a little bit more about it over these clips. So, as I said in the garage, it's a very mobile TD, and I've just left this a little bit on to sort of kind of show you that mobility a bit from a standing start. And just a few short clips sort of showing its mobility, maybe, you know, its armour bouncing a little bit, its gun doing its thing. Just to, like the other ones, give you a quick overview now. The tier 9 and 10 will get their own videos. They won't get sort of a combined one like this. And again, yeah, this bit, probably should have just left that off, but at least you can see it's a tier 8 match. And again, you can see the mobility from a standing start and going up the hill, and that's why I've left this bit on. I probably should have taken the team list off at the beginning. In fact, I thought I had. But anyway, never mind. So yeah, I think the only thing I could say about this tank is that it could possibly, and I don't know on this, you see I'm kind of torn, it could possibly do with a slight rate of fire increase. Now some people are like, oh, that'll make it a bit OP, you know, the 120, the SU-152, it's got a better rate of fire, but it's got worse armour and mobility, stealth, etc. Yeah, it has, but the SU-122-44, that, you know, is as mobile as this, if not more. It's, you know, good mobility and what have you, and that's got a better rate of fire. I wouldn't put it up too much. I'd probably put it up to maybe 7 rounds a minute. It's 6 point something now, so not much of an increase, but about 7 rounds a minute. And I know it does have the increased pen as well, but I don't know. I was just thinking about it, that's all, and you know, whether it could sort of possibly stand a slight rate of fire increase. And you can see there, well, hopefully it did flick a little bit as I'm doing this on the editor, but hopefully that won't spin around and you'll see the proper spin speed of that. But yeah, that's where I make a mistake. I go for the ram, he manages to dodge, I knock my own track off. And we're up to the tier 8, and this one is the WZ1111GFT. And the tier 9 is the WZ111GFT, so this has got an extra 1 in it. And I'm trying to think what this one's based off now, I can't quite remember. Let's have a look. Oh, it's based on the WZ111, which is, well, basically the Alpine Tiger. That's the WZ111. The tier 9 Chinese Heavy is the WZ11114. Yeah, a lot of numbers and designations. But yeah, this is based off the WZ111. And looks wise, it kind of reminds me a lot of the Object 268, the tier 10, or one of the tier 10 Russian TDs. You know, it does sort of look kind of similar to that one. Gun wise, this is where we get a bit of a, it starts to vary again. I mean, this is where basically at this point in the line you go away from the stealthy machines again, and you come into the sort of not heavily armoured but the better armoured, less stealthy machines, and this is what we get into here with this one. So gun wise, you basically get 130mm at the end of it. You start off with the 122, which I think is the one, yeah, from the tank before, but a better rate of fire. Then you get a better 122 with 248, 440. So that, you know, decent pen, decent damage again, and again it kind of it makes it so it's not an unpleasant grind. You know, you're not having to go through crappy guns with shit penetration and sort of getting frustrated because it's taking you ages to actually get the XP because your gun's crap. So it's not like that. So it kind of is a fairly nice grind again. You've got engine tracks to get as well. But again, I don't think it really makes too much of a difference on this. And then you end up with this 130mm one, which is obviously it's 130mm on the ISU 130 Tier 8. And I cannot remember the stats on that gun at the moment, which is probably something I should have looked up, because I think they're now in the Tankopedia properly. But anyway, 4.29 rounds a minute. Obviously, the equivalent Russian is the ISU 152, and everybody goes for the big troll cannon on that, which has, you know, decent pen and a massive whacking damage of 750 alpha. In fact, let's just go and have a quick look. While, because I've not got the ISU 152 yet, I've just been really dragging my heels. I'm still on the ISU, no, the SU 152. So yeah, the BL10 on the ISU does get better penetration and damage, but obviously a lot less rate of fire at 3.41 accuracy and aim time. Well, we'll have a look at that in a second. But yeah, this is sort of differing again from the Russian line. So yeah, 4.29 rounds a minute, so better rate of fire than that, but you don't get that increased damage. You do get a better aiming time. You definitely get better accuracy. The aim time, do you know, my mind just went completely blank there. A proper brain fart. I've only just looked at these stats and I've just forgotten them. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. So better aim time, better accuracy, slightly better rate of fire, but less penetration. So I don't know, personally. I mean, I know the troll cannon is going to be fun, but I think this could possibly be a slightly more reliable gun with the accuracy. Maybe. I take it with, I'm not sure. I've not, like I said, I've not tried the troll cannon yet. I've not been in it. But yeah, maybe, possibly. I'd rather have the accuracy, and sort of be sure I'm going to hit instead of miss and maybe lose all the damage. But still, 271 is nice pen. 560 is nice damage as well. You're not as mobile anymore as well, because it's based on heavy tanks now rather than the sort of mediums and the lights. So you do lose mobility, you lose stealth, but you gain armor and a big chunk of sort of damage up at this tier, and it is kind of similar from sort of now on, really. So yeah, 130mm with a, like I say, decent accuracy, pretty nice accuracy on that one. Quick look at the power to weight ratio. It does drop 13.33, and you are slower as well, 35 kilometers an hour. And your concealment has dropped considerably. In fact, your stationary concealment is only a little bit more than your moving concealment on the previous tier. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it goes down to. But armor-wise, it does increase. You get, where is it? You actually get 180mm on the front, only 80 on the sides and 60 on the rear. So really, don't let anything get around you. You do have a bit of spaced armor, but it's, yeah, you've still got, pretty paper-thin armor for the tier on the sides, but the 180mm doesn't look too bad on the front, although it does appear to be just on the upper superstructure there, as you can see, and on the gun mantle, although the gun mantle does have a lot thicker at 200 as well. And the hull, well, that falls down into this bracket. I'm assuming it's going to be around the 120 mark if it's based on the WZ111, but it has got that pike nose to it. So again, when you're at range, you're going to be able to take some hits, and when you're going against lower tiers, you're probably going to be able to take and bounce some hits in this as well. So it is a bit more well armoured. But again, let's just have a look at the clips and I'll go on about it a little bit more there. So here we are for the gameplay parts of this one. And again, I've tried to use bits that kind of show all aspects of it. Its gun, its armour, its mobility. And again, this is what we've got here. Just showing a bit of the mobility off. And then a bit of the gun, the accuracy, etc. And your shell velocity doesn't seem too bad either. You don't have to lead overly much like you do with some tanks, but you see, I didn't get on with the ISU 130, and this seems to be quite a similar gun, but I didn't get on with it because you don't have that massive lump of damage that you do with the BL10 on the ISU 152. And with the ISU 130, its stealth wasn't great, and its armor's not great, so you fire and then you really got to try and get out of there, so you can't put its DPM to use, whereas this, you feel like you've got a bit more armor to it. It's not something you can rely on overly much, but as you can see there, something hit me in the side and you got eaten up. I don't know if it was tracks or spaced armor. The KV4 is going at me, and he's not penning either. And he did look to have... Yeah, he is fully upgraded. He's got that ridiculously long gun on it. So yeah, you know, he was sort of bouncing it at that range. So, you know, it's not something that you can be like, yeah, you know, I'm impervious to all damage. But you do have a bit of armor to fall back on at the front. Just not at the top. Yeah. So after that little brawl, Artie took me down, unfortunate. And here I'm just kind of showing a bit more of the armour against different kind of tiers. And there's a few different tanks. Now something does give me a massive whack, and I'm not sure if I just saw an IC-152 there popping up, but I'm not entirely sure, but something gives me a good whack for a chunk of damage. And again, this is kind of showing what the armour can and can't do with this bit, and hopefully you'll get a decent idea from what I've said and from what I've shown of what these tanks are like. Now, as I said before, Tier 9 and 10 will get their own videos. Maybe going, I don't know if I'll go into too much detail, but I don't know if I'll do them as sort of full reviews, but I'll probably show a bit more gameplay attached to those ones. But yeah, there's that SU-100M1 just bouncing and bouncing, and that's where I take the big hit. Not sure what it was from. This wasn't a great game for me, but I use this clip, like I say, because I think it shows sort of aspects of the armour and the gun. What the armour can and can't sort of block, and yeah, I don't know. I kind of get the feeling it might have been an IC-152, but I'm not 100% on that one. Could be completely wrong, and I'm just trying to get something backing off, trying to find something to shoot at, and just as I'm aiming in, get hit in the side by the IS-3. But there you go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's given you an idea of what the higher tiers are like. I'll be back tomorrow with another video for you, and it will be Armoured Warfare. I've not been able to do it because it's been disconnecting me after every match, but they did a patch for it this morning. It sorted that out, and for those of you that have tried it and found it a bit unstable and sort of maybe gone away from it, and for those of you that haven't tried it yet, because you may have heard of people having sort of issues with stability, I encourage you to either give it another go or give it a go for the first time, because like I say, that patch they did this morning has improved the stability, and they've added in some new maps as well. So anyway, yeah, back tomorrow with that video. So until then, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.